All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live here with you on a Wednesday. Mike Carver here with you along with Doug Kezirian as we get you ready for all of tonight's action. We have got a couple of NBA games, a few hockey games, lots of college basketball, and several other things. Lots of college football to discuss as well as we get ready for the college football playoffs starting this weekend. Doug, it is good to see you as always. Doug staying hot. The daily double hits here on Betting Weekly Live last night as well. Good to see you, Doug.
Yeah, I think it's 9 of 10 for me for best bets. Just miraculous run. Got there by the hook. So that's good. But good job. Rocking chair winner for you. I knew you would sort it out, just picking the wrong thing. You know, you go 5-1 in a show and somehow the one is your best bet. But we got there with the daily double. Good to kind of move the sticks and turn the page in that regard. So we're back on track with that, and things are heating up. We got a kickoff in the afternoon here, at least West Coast time for bowl season. We got a women's play for you coming up, and then obviously a couple NBA games and whatnot.
That's right. Everybody loves the Cure Bowl down in Orlando, which of course is going to start in a little bit. But we're going to start college football today, Doug, and we are going to bring in one of our friends, pro bettor Chris Macero, as we get ready for all of the action this weekend. Chris, it is good to see you here with me and Doug on Betting Weekly Live. And I know you ramped up, Chris. I mean, let's go, baby. College football playoff this weekend. Got to have it.
It's unbelievable. Friday afternoon, West Coast time, all the way to my Patriots on Sunday night. I can't wait. It's going to be my favorite chair is going to be getting a workout. Thanks for having me on, Mike. Good to see you, Doug. And let's rock and roll. Let's try to get some winners. There's been some movement in some of the games we're going to talk about, and I'm excited. If you have a wife and family, this is the week to send them to Disneyland because there's going to be no time for them. It's a constant viewing of sports, college and pro, and factor in all the basketball and hockey too. What a weekend!
Unfortunately, I don't have that in my cards this weekend of sending everybody out of the house, but I am going to be able to bob and weave and hopefully be able to catch all of this. Why don't we start, Chris? Friday night, first game of the college football playoff, a rematch from earlier this season, Alabama and Oklahoma, a good one to get us going in Norman.
Yeah, so I just popped on the show. I was texting with the producer, Max, earlier on about some of the games we were going to talk about. And, I mentioned I don't really wanted to play too much into this game because if people follow me on X or whatnot, they know Bama has been my biggest college future of the year. I have a sizable position on them to win the national championship based on some future parlays that I built throughout the season. And but I just had a weird feeling about this game. Everyone I talk to, all they say is, Bama, they outgained them 2-1 last time they played, and it was only because of the 3 turnovers. But this number wasn't budging. And as we go on the air, what happens? The line totally flips from Bama -1. I'm seeing all the way up to -1.5 Oklahoma. And it's just fishy. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if there's an injury that just popped up. But maybe it's just Oklahoma has this team's number. Last year, don't forget, Bama basically didn't get into the playoff because Oklahoma rolled them. And, maybe they stole one in Tuscaloosa. But, hey, that defense is really solid. Bama's got a lot of injuries. They just haven't looked the same lately. And, it's just one of those fluky numbers. And I actually played right before we came on. I know you're not supposed to tease college, but in a low-scoring, low-total game, I wasn't afraid to take the Sooners up to 7.5 on a 6.5-point teaser, and I put them with the Lions because I can't see the Lions losing to Pittsburgh on the short week. I just think something's up with this number, and as it proved as we came on the air, that for the number to flip, and it's not even game day, to flip early, something's going on. I really lean towards the Sooners in this game.
It's a good point about the teaser. Yeah, when it's a low-scoring game, I mean, really, this is an NFL sort of game, right? 1 and 40.5. If you can get up to 7.5, that makes a lot of sense. And obviously, juice on college teasers, much more digestible. We have a rematch in this game. Obviously, that does not happen very often in college football. We have another one in the playoff. How much do you have like a rule of thumb or anything along those lines where you do see a rematch opportunity or maybe apply it from the NFL where we do get rematches? That is a variable in this game.
Well, yeah, as we just saw last week in New England and Buffalo, when you have two good teams and one of them gets the first game, you probably come back and expect if it's a good team, that the other team's going to get the second one. And it's definitely tough to beat a team twice in the SEC in the same season. But I just can't get out of my head how bad Oklahoma rolled them last year. And everyone's seen what's been going on with Alabama, and no one wants Alabama to win more than me. I just think it's very frustrating watching this offense. They can't run the ball. They're getting their top back this week, so we'll see if that improves. But they've had too many injuries on the offensive line. They got no tight ends that have been healthy, and there's a lot of rumors that Ty Simpson is hurt too. So it's just not much you can really hang your hat on, and you're going up against a great defense. So a lot of people earlier 2 weeks ago, Oklahoma shouldn't get in because their defense is great, but their offense is so bad we don't want to watch them in the playoffs. That's like saying the Baltimore Ravens shouldn't have been allowed in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs in the 2000 season. I just don't buy it. Football is 3 phases, even 4 if you want to count coaching, special teams, defense, and offense. If you have a great defense, a lot of times you can carry you to a championship. So it's tough to beat a team twice in the SEC, but like I said, the line's been fishy all week, and I just have a weird feeling about it that maybe Alabama's just going to tap out for the year.
One of the other teams, Chris, that of course there was a lot of discussion about whether they should be in or out is the Miami Hurricanes. They will play Saturday afternoon, first kickoff of the college football triple header there in Texas A&M against the Aggies. Right now, Aggies -3.5 at Bet Rivers, 48.5 the total here.
Here's another situation where I lean a certain way, but I haven't bet the game because I do have some futures. I had A&M from the beginning of the season at 60-1. Looked really great. It looked awesome before the Texas game. And then last week or 10 days ago, I was able to find Miami at 100-1, and I really thought they were going to make the playoff. All these odds were saying they weren't, but it didn't make sense to me. So I was able to get them at 100-1. So I'm in a good spot right now. But I think if you look into this a little deeper, yes, A&M beat Notre Dame. But all the other teams on the schedule they beat were on down years. Auburn, coach fired. Miss State, Florida, coach fired. Arkansas, coach fired. LSU, coach fired. You're seeing a trend here. It's just ridiculous. Every team they played, the coach is fired. Missouri without Bo Prabula. How can you forget? Down 30-3 against South Carolina on their home field. And that's a 4-8 South Carolina team. And the teams they beat were Virginia Tech, another coach fired. South Carolina State, Kentucky, another coach fired. And Coastal Carolina. So South Carolina, for them to be up 30-3, I can't get that game out of my head. Yes, they came back in the second half, but I just didn't think Marcel Reed looked comfortable. He didn't look comfortable against Texas. That game, even though the score was closer than it, probably really was, I never really felt Texas A&M was going to come back in the game. And I just think it might be a product of their schedule. Do I want to really back Carson Beck and Mario Cristobal? No, but at 3.5, I have a strong lean to Miami. I really like the fact that Beck, with a lot of experience, you can make fun of him all you want, but he has experience. He's the most experienced quarterback in this playoff. Miami's got playmakers. Malachi Toney, probably the most explosive guy in the playoff. Maybe a couple other guys might match him on that, but they got some speed on this Miami team to match A&M speed. So at 3.5, I have a strong lean towards Miami.
Yeah, and it's going to be a fun game, and you got a couple good futures there too, Chris, as well. Both of those teams going into it, having some nice big numbers with Miami and Texas A&M. You're going to be in a good spot either way, no matter who gets through there. Middle game Saturday, Tulane and Ole Miss. So another rematch here, but of course, Ole Miss smashed them in the first meeting. We've got Kiffin gone now, some of the offensive staff, etc. Big number, 17.5.
Yeah, I don't have a play on the game. I obviously think Ole Miss is going to get the job done. Is this a game where Ole Miss comes out and just smashes them and says, "Hey, we're just as good without Lane Kiffin"? I hear a lot of the players on the team, just kind of want to get over this whole situation. Like, it's all about Lane. It's not about us. They got Charlie Weiss's kid. He's back calling the plays. The new head coach seems like he's got his stuff together. He's really had some nice press conferences, saying the team's united. And, they've already smashed Tulane earlier this season. Retzlaff's been a nice story. Shotgun wedding, came out out of nowhere, out of the BYU thing, and ends up leading Tulane to the playoff. Pretty interesting that he pulled that off. But I'm not sure. That Tulane doesn't have a good defense. If everything's lining up regular, Ole Miss should take care of business here. And maybe it's a shootout type of game. Both of these teams can put up points, and I've seen both of the defenses give up a bunch too. I'm actually looking forward to hopefully we get the Ole Miss Georgia rematch because Ole Miss had a 10-point lead late in that third quarter. They go into the fourth and get smoked by Georgia, but they were getting what they wanted early. That's a matchup I really like to see in the second round.
Certainly is. The nightcap on Saturday with the college football triple header. The other group of 5 team, James Madison out to Eugene to see Oregon. Another big number. 21.5, 3 tutties and a hook for the Ducks. 47.5 the total at Bet Rivers.
Yeah, I don't want to get in front of the Ducks machine here, and I really don't want to bet JMU. I haven't seen enough from them as a team to go all the way out west at Autzen Stadium and cover the number. But I do like the under a bunch. I played it early at 50.5. I bet it down again. I've been betting it all week. I still like it at 47.5, 48. You got to look at the way these teams play. JMU 122nd out of 136 in seconds per play. Oregon right behind them at 103 out of 136 in seconds per play. And JMU runs it 62% of the time. I don't think Bob Chesney in his last game as Duke's coach before he departs for UCLA is looking to get into a shootout against the Ducks. It just wouldn't make any sense. You got to play a ball control game and no turnovers, and you got to fall back on your defense, albeit versus a very weak schedule. You know, they played Louisville, struggled versus Washington State. The rest of the teams are cupcakes, but they only gave up 16.3 points a game, only 4 yards per rush. So you figure they can they can kind of fall back on their defense as much as they can. The Ducks on the other side of the ball, you don't think they're going to show all their cards. They have the bigger offensive line, bigger defensive line. You figure they just should be able to impose their will on the ground game. They like to run it 56% of the time to the tune of 215 yards a game. And you figure Dan Lanning and Moore, we're going to keep a couple tricks in the bag because next week you're going up against probably the best defense in the country in Texas Tech, and you're going to have some plays that they haven't seen on film yet. So I think he'll hold the cards close to the vest. I don't think JMU is going to try to get into a shootout. I expect a lot of running plays, a lot of long drives, and I like this game to go under the total.
I could see it. Absolutely. Especially, I like that angle too, with them not wanting to show too much, with Texas Tech potentially being on the horizon in the following week. So those are your college football playoff games. But Chris, I mean, there's like several hundred other bowl games that we have going on over the next few weeks. And nobody loves the Christmas Eve spectacular in Hawaii more than me. And it looks like you love it too.
Yeah, I like this game. I mean, there are some other games to look at, and I was going through the Bulls, situation, but there's so many teams where you're not sure if the quarterback's going to play or who's going to opt out. So I figured let's go to this bowl game. Everyone's going to be watching. It's the only game in town. Let's go over Hawaii Cal. Now, Cal's been Jekyll and Hyde all year. We see him get blown out by Stanford. Next week, they knock SMU out of the ACC championship game. But I really like the fact that Nick Rolovich, the interim coach that came from Washington State, was the quarterback coach, is going to stay on as the quarterback coach. Sagapulatelli really likes him. The new head coach, Lupau, he flew out to Hawaii right after the last game Oregon played. He flew right out there. I think this is going to be a united Cal group, so I expect a really good performance from them. Since Rolovich took over the one game, they put up 38 points. They let Sagapulatelli throw it 40 times in the upset over SMU. On the other side, I know Hawaii lost his star receiver, Jackson Harris, to an opt-out. But there's only one thing Timmy Chang and Mike Alejado do, and that's throw the ball. They're slinging it all around the country. They're 40 attempts a game, I think 7th in the country. They throw it 60% of the time. So I feel like this is a game where we might get 80-plus pass attempts. It's going to be I don't think it's going to be a real defensive battle up there. I'm just hoping that the winds are calm. We get a lot of pass attempts, and this game flies over the total.
Doug, you're never going to get me away from an up, and away in Hawaii, Doug. If there's anything.
It's an early kick for them. They're used to the late one, right? This is throwing off their clocks.
It really is. It's going to be a fun game. I got that game on my eye as well. Chris, tremendous job. Thanks for jumping on with us here, giving us the plays for this weekend and that Hawaii Bowl. And we will see you again soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mike. See you, Doug. Thanks, guys.
See you.
Chris Macero there, of course, pro bettor, joining us on Betting Weekly Live. And, just listening to a couple things, Doug, there that Chris has got for this weekend, he did kind of open my eyes to a couple things with James Madison and Oregon, especially thinking about Oregon not wanting to show a lot, thinking about how the JMU coach going to UCLA doesn't want to get blown out. Maybe that does play to a little bit more of an under game, even though we all think that Oregon's going to smash them. Maybe it is a little bit of a slower game.
Initially I was liking the Ducks at 21. The more I think about it, obviously last year was a learning experience and whatnot. I don't think they're coming out to send a message for this game. They want to get in, get out. It's the next game that they're sort of going to use how they got beat up in the Ohio State game in the Rose Bowl last year. I don't think they're out to drop a hammer in this game. I really think there's no voters, like no one cares. Like if they have a 2-touchdown lead late, they're literally not running tempo, power I. Let's get out of here. I don't know the Dukes well enough. They've been pretty unimpressive in a lot of ways. Like that's my concern is that James Madison, this is not a peak Madison team, right? And let's face it, their coach does have one foot out the door and has got to be focused on some other stuff as well. So under makes a lot of sense. It is getting a little low. Some of these dudes for the Ducks can just break one. So yeah, I lean under, but I'm not ready to pull the trigger. Obviously, Chris was saying you got a higher number that started with a 5. So I don't know, man. I think this James Madison team's a little on the shaky side.
And Chris also did something that has been very rare, at least for me to hear, Doug, over the last couple of days since the college football playoff matchups came out. Someone who actually likes Oklahoma, maybe. And that's because a lot. I mean, Alabama. You know this, Doug, because you obviously talking to everybody. I mean, it's hard to find anyone who likes Oklahoma on Friday night.
I know it's so trendy, and it makes you wonder. It's really hard to get involved in this game. Bama's offense is really bad, but they can dominate the line of scrimmage. And OU, sorry, it's the other way around. So Bama, it's hard to take because OU can dominate the line of scrimmage, and they're at home. And Bama doesn't really roll teams, and the Ty Simpson's got that back injury that makes me skeptical. So I do lean to the Sooners here. I will say this about Venables. I think he's a very good coach in a lot of ways. There was a little bit of a red flag when they were up 3-0 against LSU at midfield, and he went for it on 4th and 1 instead of punting. And it nearly lost them the game because they got stuffed. LSU ended up scoring. And the Sooners at the time had the lead. Just punt. They can't get first downs. The risk reward. What's the reward? Great. You have a first down at midfield. Doesn't mean you're going to do anything with it. So I just felt that was a little bit of it was a dumb decision, but not in a reckless way. It just wasn't well thought out. It wasn't calculating. And that gives me just concern because I think Kalen DeBoer is an excellent coach in a lot of ways. So that's my main apprehension here, but I do like the Sooners a little bit.
Yeah, it has been tough, but I'm a little worried about the DeBoer stuff too. Is the better option?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Is the better option to take the under in the Oklahoma-Alabama game? And that thing is low, man. That for a college football playoff game, seeing a 40.5. Love Mateer in this spot. The Sooners are going to roll. Other people do like the Sooners, Doug. Look at this. The chat box opens up. People are on Oklahoma. Feel a little better now.
All right. Well, I have a question. So Mateer was like a Heisman favorite or something in September. Hurt his hand. And is the layoff going to help him? Is his hand getting healthy? You know,
that's very possible.
like,
also,
is there something to be said about that? Because he hasn't been close to the same quarterback.
He has not. But like you say, you're now talking about a bunch of weeks. Remember, they didn't play conference championship week. They obviously didn't play last week, Army-Navy week. Now you're talking 3 weeks really of just straight rest and not playing, obviously practices and stuff too, but no game action. Could be the healthiest that Mateer has been all year coming into this game. So that is absolutely
kind of what I'm thinking. He's got the great play caller and all that came over from Wazoo. So these are things that I kind of like here.
Okay. Well, we of course will get more into these games later in the week. We do have on Friday, I know on Betting Weekly Live, we will get into our picks, etc., for all of these games that are coming up. But we do also want to go for two for us, Doug, in terms of some of these other bowl games, some early looks on a few. We mentioned them really fast going out the door yesterday, but I want to hear a little bit more. And we'll start with what the line's been doing in this Texas-Michigan game. And obviously, this is the Cheez-It Bowl for everybody. And obviously, you have a lot of things going on the Michigan side of things. Biff Poggi's going to be the interim coach. Texas now -7.5, 46.5.
Every quote I've read is that Poggi's being very, soft with the team in a good way, in a supportive way. And that was his instructions when he was named interim coach for the bowl game. Is show love. And a lot of players were very disheartened. He asked if they even wanted to play this game. Maybe they'd opt out just because of all the hoopla surrounding the program. And I just don't think that bodes well from a practice standpoint, right? I mean, the little kumbaya once in a while never hurts. But if that's the vibe for a couple weeks, I mean, we're still not kicking off for 2 more weeks, New Year's. Whereas I think the Longhorns are going to bring it. Now, every bowl game has the uncertainty of like the day of the game or even an hour before kickoff, you learn 6 guys are opting out. So obviously this number can fly back the other way, but I think it's only going to go up. We've seen it go from 5-ish to 6.5, then 7.5. And I think the Longhorns are going to kind of want to use this as a launching pad. And they were starting to play a lot better at the end of the season to begin with. I think the Wolverines are one-dimensional. Not the biggest fan of Underwood, but there's a chance he's a lot better with another month of practice. But I don't think this Michigan team's all that. I think you kind of know where their ceiling is. And frankly, I think it led to the firing of Sharon Moore. I think the Wolverines athletic department would have pulled some serious strings if they really wanted to keep him. So I just think this team needs a hard reset. And I don't know if they're looking at it as a clean slate for next year. I think they're trying to like get the year over with. It's sort of the vibe I'm reading. So I like Texas in a big way. Arch announced he's coming back next year. I think there's a lot of reasons to support this Longhorns wager.
And this is this another one for you? Because we're still talking 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks and a couple of days till this game gets played. With more that could happen. I mean, 2 weeks is a lot of time in today's college athletics. More could happen. Could you see this 7.5 get even bigger and bigger? Like, is this one of those games where we could see it reach 10 or more?
I think eventually, I think people are probably gun shy of any opt-outs for the Longhorns because, again, a lot of teams keep things close to the vest and won't want their opponent to know things. Now, I think it was the initial push was through the key number of 7.5. So to get 8.5, I mean, we saw that Boise State Washington line move around there. I think it's not going to move to game day. And frankly, people don't want to tie up money. So we have 2 weeks from today's kickoff. There's a lot of bowl games. There's a lot of other sports. For the most part, I think we're going to have that holding. But if it starts going to 8, it starts going to 8.5. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. So I've already fired on this. I brought it up when it was 6.5. There's just a lot to like with this position of Texas. So if you read the market and you kind of see where things are going, there's just apprehension here. I do think it goes higher before it goes lower.
There you go on the chat box. Longhorns on the spread. Wolverines team total under.
Yeah.
Also a good possibility for the Cheez-It Bowl in Orlando that day. I always love this bowl game, the next one we're going to talk about, because it's usually a fun, high-scoring, kind of crazy type of game. And that's the Alamo Bowl, which this year will be played on the 30th at night, just after 9 o'clock East. And we'll have USC and TCU this year with the 58 total and the Trojans minus 3.5.
This is an interesting play in terms of why I came up with it. Usually I'd be like trying to grab a dog unless it's a unusual situation like the Michigan game. But I think the USC is going to really build off this. They have the number 1 recruiting class coming in. Okay. They played well last year in their bowl game, remember? And I think TCU is kind of the team I worry about in terms of where their head's at. They have some moving parts themselves. So I just want with their quarterback and everything. So I think USC is going to be the more focused team. And even though, I mean, the Longhorns have the Horned Frogs have a good program, but I think they've got some moving parts. I think they had some staff movement as well. I think USC is kind of more intact and rolling along with all their key players. And I think there's just a good vibe right now with the Trojans for next year.
There is a good vibe for them going in next year. And I'm going to play, this is an over on principle, Doug. The Alamo Bowl is one of those games. Really doesn't matter who's playing. And I know you could have, guys not play in today's world and whatnot, but the Alamo Bowl is always a tee it high and let it fly special. And so is the Hawaii Bowl. Now, Chris did bring this game up. I kind of looked at this game, and maybe I should be looking at more towards his way, which is the over, because there are some points to be made there. But Hawaii at home, especially since Jag's been the head coach, they usually give you a good effort at home. And I love their offense. I kind of like Hawaii to win this game against Cal out on Christmas Eve, Doug.
I wouldn't be shocked. Look, the Islands always plays tricks on people coming from the mainland. Now, obviously, Cal's quarterback knows it, but I like the over too. I think we're going to see points. This Hawaii team is very frustrating because I had them as a big play a couple weekends ago against Wyoming in the regular season finale. And they really just end up punting way too often. They have a dumb throw on 2nd and 6 and then end up like punting. It's maddening because they should really go up and down the field. But I understand you can't be perfect every play, but they just kind of shoot themselves in the foot more often than not. And that's against Mountain West competition. Now they got Cal coming in. But Wilcox is gone, right? That's the interesting thing. He was such a defensive guy. They had that big win earlier this year at Louisville, and I'm kind of surprised he didn't, they didn't extend him or keep him around, but he's been there a while and whatnot. And Chris said it with Rolovich, they were slinging it around. So I like the over. I think that's a really sharp play. I only think it's going to go up too.
The other game I'm going to bring up with you is the Sun Bowl, the rolling hills of El Paso for Arizona State and the ACC champion Duke in this game. Now, Duke favored -2.5. I know they're the champs of the ACC, but it's because Arizona State, Doug, has a few things obviously going on. Everyone thinks that Dillingham is leaving. And, I mean, their players are dropping like flies. I mean, the running back's going in the draft. The cornerback's going in the draft. I mean, we obviously know Levitt was hurt early in the year anyway, and he's long gone. This is a weight game for me because I don't think Dillingham's leaving, Doug. I really don't. I don't think he's going to go to Michigan. And if he's coaching that day, whatever that number is, and I think it'll probably be more than 2.5 if more guys keep dropping out. So I'm going to hold. I'm not going to take it at 2.5 because I think I can get more. But if Dillingham's on that sideline, I'm taking Arizona State that day.
Initially, I was with you in terms of Dillingham because, I mean, he's from there, went there, diehard football nerd in the best way possible. But at some point, you kind of get sick of it, right? Like their budget, they've lost guys, they're losing Levitt to the transfer portal. At some point, you're just saying, why am I sticking around? This can still be my alma mater and program that I love, but it doesn't even have to be here the rest of my life. And if they're not going to get the right money and Michigan comes calling, I think you go. I don't think DeBoer to Ann Arbor is going to happen. I just really don't think they're going to buy him out after losing. If they lose to Oklahoma, I just don't see it. And I guess if he's really unhappy and he wants to go to Michigan, then it's a great hire. I think Dillingham's live there, and I do think he's a better coach if he's coaching this game. But they were kind of left a lot to be desired down the stretch. Satanists. It is a bowl game, so I can't get involved. But I understand with your thought process here. Sure.
Yeah, it would be the coach, Matt. It would be more the coach angle for me, and I don't know. I feel like things have not moved fast. Feels like they're waiting for DeBoer. Like it feels like that's what they're waiting for. Alabama to maybe lose on Friday night and be able to talk to him a little bit more. But these agents all talk to each other anyway. We do have 2 games tonight in the bowl season. The Cure Bowl, which starts in about a half an hour from now, 5 o'clock East. This also Orlando with a lot of these games. Old Dominion against South Florida. USF now -4 at Bet Rivers with a 52.5. Of course, you always have to try to look at the laundry list of who's not playing. Both teams' starting quarterbacks have opted out for this game. You also have, of course, basically the entire South Florida coaching staff off to Auburn. So there's a lot of things to consider with ODU and USF tonight, Doug.
You nailed the big talking points. I would imagine that the Bulls are going to be excited to play because whoever is suiting up is going to want to be there. I think Old Dom was sneaky decent in this year. But I can't grab, I'm like in a pick'em league, I took the 4, or actually it's like a stale number at 6, but I'd have to go with the Monarchs in that regard. But I think we're looking at an under here. I do think you have to be careful with unders because there's punts near instead of punting in the usual situation around midfield or positive territory, they go for it. They get a little reckless, 4th down decisions. But I think this is too high of a number with the quarterbacks being as green as they are. I think we're going to see some vanilla action, including like we saw last night, interceptions on deep balls because the quarterbacks just aren't that accurate or aren't that talented. So I'm playing totals in both bowl games today. This Cure Bowl, the first one, I'm going under. It's never fun to bet an under in a bowl game, but we've hit a couple unders to start this bowl season. So don't knock it till you try it.
We have hit a couple unders so far, that's for sure. The Ventures Bowl is the nightcap. This will have the Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana against the Fighting Blue Hens from Delaware. This is in Mobile, the Ventures Bowl. Louisiana now -1. I had to go and look, Doug. Delaware has not played in a bowl game as a school since 1981. They have not won a bowl game since 1978 was the last time. We got to root for the Fighting Blue Hens tonight. I'm taking Delaware with the bringing a bowl win back to the school, finally back in the top level of college football. I'm going with Delaware, and they can score some points. We had them on a couple of those crazy Tuesday, Wednesday night games. We had Delaware. The quarterback could get around a little bit. Let's go with the Fighting Blue Hens.
That quarterback, Nick Minucci, I think he's really, really good, and he's going to sling it. And this Louisiana team, give them credit, man. They won 4 straight games. They went 4-0 down the stretch to become bowl eligible at 6-6. So really nice job. This Blue Hen squad was wild, man. They won when you didn't think they would. They lost when they were supposed to win. I'm on the over here. Nearly my best bet. This is an over. I think Delaware's pass rush is awful. And they're not going to do anything on defense, but Minucci's going to let it sling. And he's solid, man. Thankfully, he's not Ben DiNucci, who's probably the worst regular season quarterback I've ever seen in NFL. But that's no reason for him to catch any more strays than he usually gets. So I'm going to roll with the over in this game. Almost my best bet.
It's either him or Peterman, as I like to throw. You always say DiNucci. I always say Peterman. They never had a bowl game when Flacco was there. No, Steve, because they were in Division II or whatever.
Right.
They were down there.
I'll say this about DiNucci. His accuracy was so bad that his balls weren't interceptable. So Peterman was throwing the picks, but DiNucci was so off target that he could not get intercepted.
Awful. Just absolutely terrible. There you go. 2 bowl games tonight for us in college football. Bowl season well underway. NBA, also a limited slate tonight. Only 2 games for us on Betting Weekly Live. And by the way, we have not mentioned this because obviously we started with the college football with Chris and we were doing all those things. The Knicks with the win over the Spurs last night to win the NBA Cup, and immediately the organization had to squash the rumors this afternoon, Doug. They will not hang a banner at the Garden to symbolize that. They instead will have a celebration with their fans on Friday night when they return home to play the Sixers.
Lakers strong armed for a banner. That's bogus. I'm embarrassed as a Laker fan that I had to tolerate that. But really impressive second half by the Knicks across a few fronts. First, Mike Brown's adjustments to keep Kolek in, to keep another ball handler on the court. Stan Van Gundy on the broadcast addressed that and pointed that out. And that's where having a guy like Van Gundy or another coach, like they point out stuff like that, which is so much better than some of the low-hanging fruit stupidity that we see in some broadcasts. So that was a really nice to kind of learn and evolve, kind of glean that wisdom. And the big shot starting with Clarkson and Spurs, they kind of ran out of gas. You wonder how much that win over OKC took it out of them. But then we later learned that Wembanyama's grandmother had passed and he was kind of battling through that. Really memorable sort of semifinals and final. Really impressive. I mean, just how about the NBA just loving this? Look who's won the NBA Cup the first 3 years. You have LeBron, then you have Giannis, and now you have the Knicks, like some serious brands in the league with the Lakers and Knicks. It's just crazy. So, look, New York is a favorite or among the favorites to win the East. They're loaded in the starting lineup, and we saw glimpses of it. And Mike Brown knew how to kind of utilize his entire tool belt, and I thought he did a really nice job.
He certainly did. Congrats to them. And yes, they got some big contributions off the bench last night. Kolek and Mitchell. Clarkson hit some big shots. They had a lot of guys who chipped in for that. All right, 2 games tonight as we're out of the NBA Cup now. We'll start in Chicago, where the Cavs and the Bulls will get together. Right now at Bet Rivers, -5.5. Cavs are the road favorite with a 242.5 tonight in Chicago.
And these are 2 of the worst teams against the spread. So it's really hard to kind of bet one of them. And then obviously the Bulls both teams are nicked up, but really the Cavs are. No Evan Mobley. That's significant. We're not going to have Sam Merrill, who's a sharp shooter. And it's really just sort of a shell of the team that we saw at the beginning of the season. But the Bulls have been a little all over the place. They're starting to get a little healthier, but still they've been a fade. I'm going to go to Donovan Mitchell here because he's such a stud, but there's a reason. It's the Bulls defense. But anytime these really good players come off bad games, I really want to bet on him. He was 6 of 24 in the last game. Okay. That is unlikely to repeat itself. Now, he had 17 points. He's going to probably score in the 20s at least. We need him to get into the 30s. But I still think it's good against this Bulls team. I think they're that shaky. Over under 242.5. That's a lot of points. I think Mitchell's going to let it fly. Probably should be betting his 3-point prop over, but I'll stick with over 30.5. I think that's a really solid play. And I have a really unique play, but I think there's a strong angle here. So as we all know, we've mentioned it a few times. You can bet second half before the game starts, side and total. You can bet each quarter, side and total. And the Cavs are really thin right now with their second unit. And that's the concern because Mitchell's in the starting lineup and then sits the start of the second, blah, blah, blah. And you really get sort of a skeleton crew to start the second. In the last game, they only scored 18 points, but the defense, usually scrubs, locked in, allowing only 24 points in the second quarter. So you had other quarters that were in the high 50s or 60s, and they only scored. I think second quarter under 58.5 is an awesome bet. You can't be afraid to lose, but the Bulls' second unit, guys like Patrick Williams and stuff like that, they leave a lot to be desired. They're going to push the pace. I thought about Cleveland team total under 29.5. So if you want to split it up and go half and half, I think that's probably a really good approach. But I think we get line value. And why do we have line value? Well, if you're an odds maker, there's a million things going on. You're going to take the game line and then do the first half line and then the quarter line. That's all going to be commensurate with what the closing line is. But when there are thin sort of injuries and stuff that make teams thin, I think this is a way to really exploit it and get line value. I mean, let's just, for example, 56.5 would probably be a fair number. And it's like, oh, it's only 2 points. But that's like an extra possession. And if there's a miss, you're looking at an extra 45 seconds to a minute. And if I told you can add a minute or take a minute away from a quarter, you're going to bet the under every time. So it's just really, you got to think of it in these kind of building blocks, and you can get angles in that capacity. So I think that's a really strong way to approach this game.
I wish they would have took a minute away from the fourth quarter of the Knicks Spurs last night, and we could have gotten that under, which was
how about that dribble out situation, and you get the layups and the three.
And look, I didn't think we necessarily deserved it, Doug, the way the game was being played, but then they teased us in the last couple of minutes saying, oh, this under's got a chance. And then the Knicks with these throwing the layups underneath the basket. Oh, that was brutal. Cavs Bulls, we do have a special at Bet Rivers tonight. Spider Claws. Donovan Mitchell to score 3+ points in the first 3 minutes of Cavs versus Bulls. Now, this is boosted from +165 to +200. So obviously, Doug, look, tight space here. First 3 minutes of the game, you're looking for either him to bang 1-3 or him get a couple of buckets, whatever it is. You like this one up to +200.
Love it. Love it. I think he's going to come out firing.
Well, let's go, baby. Let's get involved then. I will go and join you then there with the +200 for Mitchell tonight at Bet Rivers for that one. The other game, Grizzlies are in Minnesota against the Timberwolves. T-Wolves -8.5, 228.5 the total.
So my guy, Cam Spencer, is not playing this game for personal reasons. He's a guy who comes off the bench and has gone over his points prop in, I think, 11 straight games. Played at UConn, you might remember him. He's been awesome and really igniting this offense. Ja Morant rolled his ankle at the end of the last game, which was against the Clippers. He's questionable for tonight. I think the offense is going to bog down. In a lot of ways, I'm looking at maybe their team total under or just the under for the game. It's come down a point in the last couple hours. I think this is a really strong play. So I like the under because I think the T-Wolves defense is really strong, but they're so unreliable. And the Grizzlies play hard, although the Grizzlies are much better as a favorite, go figure, than an underdog. They kind of get rolled. But with Morant back, I don't like him that much. I think he's shaky and he's not a good shooter. So I think under 228 is a really good play. I mean, this T-Wolves team, still their identity is still their defense. So under 109.5, I'm going to play a little bit, but I also like the under in the game.
There you go. Under tonight, team total. There's for the Grizzlies 109.5, 228.5 for the Grizzlies and the T-Wolves later this evening. So only 2 games in the NBA. You can also get for that game, because that game is on NBA TV. Randall over 22.5 if Edwards is not playing. There, the question for you. Randall over 22.5. No Ant.
Well, he's been out a couple weeks now.
Yeah. So there you go with that one. NBA Wednesday primetime second chance SGP. That's the NBA TV game. The Grizzlies and the T-Wolves. Log into your BetRivers app or betrivers.com account each Wednesday to receive a second chance same game parlay token to use on either of the primetime NBA games that day. Only one tonight. If your wager doesn't hit, see the BetRivers app or the website for full details there. Other hoops tonight. We do have some college basketball as well this evening. Why don't we start with this Vandy-Memphis game? Vandy visiting Memphis here tonight as they will go to the Forum there. Right now at BetRivers, this was earlier. Let me pull this back up for Vandy. I think it's 9.5 right now. There it is. 9.5 for Vandy and a 161.5. The 10-0 Commodores, Doug.
I think they're a legit team here. There's a lot to like with the Doors, and Memphis needs this game, man. They've been real shaky out of the gates. Penny at the helm. I'm a little uneasy because this total keeps steaming up. And, you never want to be totally against line move and everything like that. But I do think under's a play for me. It's just too many points. Memphis is going to be on lockdown here. They need this game. I think it's going to be a pretty intense game. Obviously, in-state sort of battle. It just feels like too many points. And like Vandy's got to cool off at some point.
Vandy does got to cool off at some point. That was the first thing that jumped out at me when I saw that this morning is Memphis getting those sticks at home. That is a lot against Vandy, that's for sure. Next, number 7 Gonzaga, 10-1 on the season. They are home for Campbell tonight. Campbell Soup, 36.5 with a 161.5.
Yeah, and Ken Palm only makes this 31, but I'm laying it. It's at the kennel. The Zags destroy bad teams because that second and third unit can run them out of the gym. So I'm going to have to lay it with the Zags. They had that one sort of, aberration against Michigan where they lost by 40. Then they smoked Kentucky by 35. And then they've been, they just put up 109 on North Florida. They put up triple digits on Maryland out here in Vegas. They're not afraid to drop the hammer. Southern Utah, they dropped a $122 and won by 52. So I don't see Campbell kind of hanging around in this game. Like this could just be an absolute beatdown. The Campbells are 0-5 away from home for what it's worth. They gave up 99 to Wake. Like this game could get really out of hand.
Really out of hand. And that's why you get yourself a little 36.5 here tonight. I'm hoping that the next game gets really out of hand. Alabama at home for USF this evening. This is one of these spots. It's 13.5 for Alabama. They're coming off getting waxed by Arizona over the weekend. I'm playing the bounce back, Doug. Big win for Alabama tonight. Smash job against USF.
You think they're going to get motivated. And I think I mentioned this last week. I forget the team we were discussing, but sometimes there's a hangover effect where it's like 2 games, right? It kind of affects them when they lose the next game. So that's the only side I would play. Alabama, you know how I feel about this team. They want to get up and down off a loss. They'll take it in stride and just keep chucking. I want no part of the Bulls here.
No part of the Bulls. And look at that total, 181.5 for Alabama and South Florida tonight. Now, I know we've got some women. I'll just let you know everything else or anything else of note tonight. Florida's playing St. Francis. Have fun with that. Oh, I skipped, Doug. What an awful job by me. But it's the late night game, so that's okay. So in time order, we're still there. And we do have Arizona State at UCLA tonight. UCLA minus 9.5, 145.5.
Yeah. Okay. So this is tricky because I think the number just feels too high. The old Pac-12 matchup, right? No longer conference foes. But the way this line has moved from 8 to 8.5 to 9.5, I have a feeling Bruins roll them. This Arizona State team's not that good. I thought it was too many points when I first looked at it, but it's a total sort of sucker bet. I think this UCLA team has gone on the road and lost. They lost by 10 to the Zags, which is impressive. They were up 16 against Washington on the road, won by 2, covered the 1.5. They did go to Cal and lose, but they were shorthanded. I think this is a team where they could roll them. The problem is you see this with the tempo, 338 in tempo, and that's a concern when you're laying this kind of lumber. Hurley's intense. No idea how much the refs want to tolerate it. I lean dog, but I've been down this road too many times in my life to step up to the window and bet it. I have a feeling just with the line movement alone is telling me they're gonna lose by double digits.
Seems so easy, right? Oh, Arizona State,
Yeah,
9.5 seems so easy. Maybe not. So be careful with that late night one. That game's on FS1 between Arizona State and UCLA. How about the ladies? We got anything in the ladies tonight, Doug?
Oh yeah, we have ladies' night every night in the holidays here. Alabama, you mentioned them, but the women's side, they just played and they shot 10 of 13 or something from 3. They're not that good. Tulane is uber athletic. This Tulane team's pretty good. They lost to LSU, who we've talked about by 20, I think. This thing's going to be in the teens, man. This is a good Tulane team. I don't think this Alabama team's very good. They got one big on the front court that can score, but I think this is going to be a little bit of a reality check for the Tide. I really don't. I really think their record's misleading and all that. I think the Green Wave hang around make this uncomfortable even for the Bama.
And that does start soon. That's just after 5 o'clock East.
Oh, yeah.
That Tulane, Alabama women's game. So make sure you get that in. I got to make sure I run and get that in as soon as we finish up tonight. All right, there you go. College basketball for tonight, both on the men's and the women's side. Of course, if you like what you see, as you should be subscribing to the Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube. You can catch us, of course, on Betting Weekly Live. And you got to check out the morning crew, too, the AM side at 11 a.m. East, because they have been on fire as well. How about Nigel today hitting the daily double with Newcastle and Fulham, both teams to score? And every day. And Nigel's also been smoking hot with the darts. All the videos I see about Nigel with the darts, he's been cleaning up. Adam Svivada, plus 1.5 sets versus Matt Campbell in darts, another winner. Man, the darts world championship going on. And Nigel's been on fire with it. For all those Betting Weekly Studios videos they've been putting out. So nice job there. Make sure you check it out on our channel, Betting Weekly Studios on YouTube. Hockey tonight, 5 games in the NHL, including the TV doubleheader. Doug loves both teams to score. There it is. Both teams to score, which Nigel hit in the soccer today. Hockey this evening, doubleheader on TNT, which is leading off with the Mammoth in Detroit against the Red Wings. The rare both teams, Doug, on the second night of a back-to-back. Both teams played last night. Utah lost in Boston against the Bruins. The Red Wings had a third-period comeback and beat the Islanders 3-2 at home. So the Red Wings are not traveling, even though they're playing back-to-back nights. Utah's actually starting their starting goalie tonight. He didn't play last night. The Red Wings really play both guys, but it'll be Talbot this evening. Red Wings minus 130 and a flat 6. I mean, it's Red Wings or nothing for me, Doug. They're a better team than the Mammoth. They didn't have to do the actual travel. They're in the same place. And Utah 1-5 second night of back-to-back this year. I know not the biggest sample size, but it's there.
Yeah, look, you nailed it yesterday. Rocking chair win, 5 love.
Yes.
So I'm uneasy here with the Mammoth. I think they're shaky to begin. A little shaky here.
They are a little shaky. I will agree with you. So Detroit, It's Detroit for me in this one tonight. Detroit's a good team. They've been playing well this year. The late game tonight, look at this, going Panthers, Moneyline, Red Wings, and Mammoth. Red Wings, Mammoth over 6.5. It's tough these second nights, especially with both teams playing. You don't know what. I think you could get a barn burner type of game, or you can get a game where everyone's tired. It's very difficult, the totals on the second night of a back-to-back. Do the second leg lead to more goals? I was just saying that, Steve. Like, I think it's harder when you get both teams who have done it. doing it. I don't think there's as much data on something like that because, Doug, even though we know all these teams second night of a back-to-back, how often do you get both teams doing it, right? I don't feel like that's a very common thing in the NHL or anywhere, having both teams do it second night of a back-to-back. So it's kind of a stay away from me with the total this evening. The Devils are in Vegas against the Golden Knights. Golden Knights are going to be missing some firepower tonight, Doug. No Eichel. He's got the sniffles. He's out. Theodore's out. They're going to start Carter Hart tonight, but yet they went from about -165 to -180 in the last few hours since all of that has happened. So Knights are a big favorite at home tonight.
That's a big money line, but they really shouldn't lose this one game at all.
They should not. And I will, if we want to throw it in, the Knights and the Devils, they're, I think, on the underside. I know the Knights definitely are in terms of more unders than overs so far this year, but 5.5, not going to get me there. And you don't have Eichel. You're missing some guys. No Eichel in there too. So you got a little. We obviously know no Hughes for the Devils. They've been without him for the past few weeks. Everywhere else, Kings are in Florida against the Panthers. The Panthers have won 5 out of 6, and they have turned their game on. I actually thought about this, Doug. This might be one where I want to play the puck line tonight. The Kings looked absolutely dead in Dallas the other night. Kemper got hurt. He's not going to play tonight, their goalie. The Panthers have been on fire. The only thing that worries me is they're in that first game back after a long road trip situation tonight. But I might,
a big win, right?
Big win against their big rival, the Lightning. So there's a couple things to maybe scare me off. But the Kings, I think we're catching them in a little bit of a dip. I think I might have a little fun with the puck line with the Panthers tonight, which is plus 165 at Bet Rivers to lay the 1.5. So that's
has this been a year in which like puck lines are getting burned or they're cashing it at an unusual rate? Anything along these lines?
Nothing that I've really seen. I mean, I've kind of just been looking at who's the best and the worst in it. I didn't realize when I was looking this morning, Vegas is actually the worst puck line team in the NHL this year. They're like 7-22 or something like that to the puck line. But, for in terms of that, you take the Devils with the -177 with the 1.5 tonight. But I haven't seen anything in terms of it getting burned one way or the other. I think it's kind of been just your standard fare this year with it. You're always taking a chance, but you've always got a chance, Doug, with how early these guys pull the goalies now. We have a chance with it.
Right.
So Kings are hopeless without Kemper now. No, that's a big loss. Kemper's a loss for them with him getting hurt in Dallas the other night. That's going to hurt the Kings. So I think I'm going to take a little shot with the Panthers tonight on the puck line. Have a little fun.
I like it. I like your style.
Jets are in St. Louis against the Blues. Nothing for me there. And Carolina's in Nashville. Nashville has been playing better, Doug, but I'm not going to get in front of Carolina. I don't care where to get. I'm not getting in front of Carolina. They're too good of a regular season team. So I'm not going plus 150 for the Predators at home. And they've been scoring a lot of goals. Maybe an over there, Doug. Predators have been scoring some goals. They've actually put up like a couple touchdowns in the last week. And Carolina's always good to score a couple. So maybe over in Carolina, Nashville, but nothing on a side. You've got me. I'm all pushed in now.
I hate this Predators team. I've seen them just play so poorly. Look, the plus 150 candy can be really enticing, but I got a lot of tickets with big value in my trash can, so it's only value if it actually cashes.
That is all that it is in those instances. So 5 games in the NHL, and as I think through and talk through the NHL more, I was about to call an audible on my best bet for tonight, Doug. I was just a last-minute change at the window. We're about to do the best bets for tonight, the daily double. I just thought about calling the audible, but you know what? I'm going to stay home where I was. Don't worry, Max. I'm not going to change things up on you right now. For tonight, I'm going to go with what I thought was my favorite thing today, Doug, and I will stick with it. And that is Alabama -13.5, bouncing back and smashing South Florida at home tonight. I really like Nate Oates and the Tide. So give me them Alabama -13.5 on my side.
I like it. I'm going back to that unusual play I had with the second quarter under in the Cleveland-Chicago game. So much is dictated in my eyes by Donovan Mitchell's playing time. So the fact that he's going to start the second quarter on the bench, really thin, no Mobley. Chicago is getting a little healthier, and they'll push pace, but they also stink. I like 58.5 is too high for me in the second quarter.
So for tonight, second quarter under 58.5 with the Bulls and the Cavs, and the Alabama Crimson Tide minus 13.5 against South Florida, plus 259 for the Daily Double, which I believe 2 of the last 3 we've hit. We hit last night, we hit Friday. We're on a 2 out of 3. Getting ourselves rolling here once again with the Daily Doubles, plus 259 for this evening on Betting Weekly Live. Let's get it, baby. All right, Doug, there you go. Big night ahead. Really not that much, but we covered a lot. There's not that many games tonight, but we still had plenty to do. And tomorrow,
There's
Doug,
so much going on.
Rams, Seahawks, monster game to start Week 16 in the NFL. I believe we have another bowl game also tomorrow night. The NBA opens back up with a few more games. There's a huge night of hockey. There's a lot of college basketball. So we will have a very busy Thursday. 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Pacific on Betting Weekly Live. Doug, tremendous job as always. Good job by Chris Macero today as well. You got all of his college football plays for the playoff this weekend. Great stuff from Chris. So Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian, Betting Weekly Live, Betting Weekly Studios, part of the Bet Rivers Network. Everyone have a great night, and we will see you back here tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live.